Today, Louis Vuitton is the most valuable luxury brand on earth, a $39 billion empire of high fashion, pristine boutiques, and extreme wealth. The man who controls it all is CEO Bernard Arnault. He is the second wealthiest person on the planet, and his aggressive business tactics have earned him a specific nickname, the Wolf in Cashmere. But the company wasn't founded by billionaires. It was started by an illiterate 13-year-old boy. To escape an abusive home, he slipped away in the middle of the night and walked 225 miles to Paris, along dirt roads, sleeping in forests with an empty stomach. How does a brand born from literal starvation become the global symbol of elite society? And why is the founding family completely missing from the company today? The Vuitton empire was built on a century of survival, dark moral compromises, and a corporate takeover that ultimately consumed its creators. It took young Louis 3 years to reach Paris. He survived by trading manual labor in rural villages for scraps of food, work that inadvertently taught him how to manipulate wood, metal, and fabric. Those skills landed him an apprenticeship as a custom box maker in the city. He worked his way up until, in 1851, he secured a royal appointment as the personal boxmaker and packer for the Empress of France. 19th-century travel luggage had a major design flaw. Leather trunks had rounded tops to deflect rainwater, making them impossible to stack. Louis realized lightweight, waterproof canvas allowed for flat tops. Suddenly, luggage could be stacked tightly and securely, revolutionizing travel. By age 49, Louis had a thriving workshop and dozens of employees. Then the Franco-Prussian War broke out. He was forced to flee, and when he finally returned, he found his workshop looted and his equipment stolen. Instead of quitting, Louis used the post-war displacement to his advantage. He rented an abandoned shop in a wealthier district right next to the railway station, turning destruction into a strategic relocation. Louis worked until his death at age 70, passing the business to his son, Georges. To combat the growing number of cheap imitations on the market, Georges created the LV monogram in 1896, designing the interlocking letters specifically as a tool to identify and protect the brand's identity. The company eventually passed to the third generation under Gaston Louis. But Gaston inherited the empire just as France hurtled toward World War II and the Nazi occupation of Paris. To avoid the destruction of his factories, Gaston actively collaborated with the Nazi regime. While rival fashion designers who refused to cooperate were forced to close their doors, Louis Vuitton was permitted to operate a glamorous ground-floor shop in the Hôtel du Parc, alongside the occupation government. Decades later, when researchers asked to see the company's records from this period, modern executives claimed the WW2 archives had burned in a fire, effectively attempting to erase this chapter from their history. Keeping the luxury brand alive through the 1940s required sacrificing its basic morality, a choice that allowed the brand to survive, even as its reputation was compromised. By 1970, the brand fell to the fourth generation, led by Henry Recamier. A modern corporate executive, he shifted the business model to global retail, driving sales from $20 to $260 million. To scale even further, Henry merged the family luggage brand with a massive drinks company to form the conglomerate LVMH. An internal power struggle immediately broke out between the luggage and drinks divisions. Desperate to secure his control, Henry invited an outside property developer named Bernard Arnault to join the company as an ally. But Arnault was no ally. He secretly purchased 43% of LVMH's shares and aligned himself with the rival Moet and Hennessy families to strip Henry of his authority. The courts ultimately sided with Arnault, and Henry quit the business in a fury. For the first time in nearly a century, no one from the Vuitton family was involved with the brand. The Vuitton family survived extreme poverty and 2 world wars, only to lose their legacy to a series of secret share purchases and board maneuvers. With absolute control, Arnault turned the company into a cultural juggernaut. He expanded beyond luggage into ready-to-wear fashion and high-end streetwear collaborations that resonated with a younger, wealthier demographic. Today, the company protects that brand identity with an army of lawyers, suing anyone, even Google, who they believe is enabling copyright infringement. The scale of that protection is reflected in the price tags. A brand born from a homeless teenager's struggle to survive now sells a single leather trunk for $125,000. This $39 billion empire wasn't built on craftsmanship alone. It endured because its leaders were willing to adapt to wartime destruction, compromise their morals, and aggressively outmaneuver their rivals. In 1896, a son designed the interlocking LV monogram to protect his father's legacy. Today, that same pattern enriches one of the world's wealthiest billionaires, a reminder that the brand outlived the very family that created it.